Yesterday in our story, we learned about Moses and how he was a Hebrew baby that was born in Egypt, but during a time when the Pharaoh of Egypt, the king of Egypt, hated the Hebrews. And he wanted to kill all of the baby boys that were born in Goshen, which is right next to Egypt, where the Pharaoh was. And this mother, Jochebed, saved her baby by putting him in a special basket. Remember that? And oh, how wonderful it was that the princess herself, Pharaoh's daughter, was the one that found him in the Nile River, which is the river where they were throwing the babies to die. But this basket saved his life. And his sister, Miriam, was there, and she offered to the princess to have her mother help take care of this baby. The princess wasn't going to be able to feed him and take care of him. She was busy, and she didn't have milk. But of course, Moses' mother had milk. And so the Pharaoh's daughter actually paid the mother, Jochebed, to take care of Moses. Isn't that an amazing thing? So Moses did go and live in the palace. He was raised from the time he was probably 2 or 3 years old in the palace with his mother, the princess. And oh, how she loved Moses. And she took very good care of him. And she taught him the ways of Egypt. But Moses' Hebrew mother also taught her the ways of the Hebrews and taught her the ways of God. So ever since he was a little boy, he knew about the one true God, even though he was raised in the palace with the Pharaoh. So the Pharaoh was basically his step-grandfather. But Moses did grow up to be a fine young man, and he learned all of the different ways of the Egyptians, but he always had a love in his heart for the Hebrew people because he knew that that's where he was born, a Hebrew. So he knew he was adopted. Basically, he was adopted by the princess. But as he grew up, he would really be concerned about how the Israelites were treated by the Egyptians. Because, they were slaves, as we learned about that last time as well. And one time, one of the Egyptians was very, very harsh to one of the slaves, and he was beating him and trying to make him work faster and do more. Well, Moses didn't like it. So you know what he did? He went up and he actually killed the Egyptian. And he didn't think anybody was looking. There was nobody around. He looked around and he told that Egyptian, "You shouldn't be treating these people this way." So he killed the Egyptian and he left, thinking nobody saw him. Well, a little while later, there were 2 Israelites that were kind of fighting each other. And Moses said, "Why are you fighting each other?" And they said, "What are you going to do about it? Are you going to kill us like you killed the Egyptian?" Well, that scared Moses. He realized right then that somebody did see him do it. And he was afraid that the Pharaoh would find out and that he would get caught. And so he left. He ran away from Egypt. And when he ran to the country of Midian. And he just didn't know where he was going to go for sure or what God would lead him to. But as he went to this country of Midian, he saw one day there were some shepherdesses. So Midian was a beautiful land that had lots of grass, and a lot of sheep were raised there in Midian. So there were a lot of shepherds. And one day there were some women that had come to Midian, or come to the well, where there was a well when it would be time for the women to get water for their sheep. And so these women came up to the well. Well, there were some mean guys, and these men were not very friendly to the women, and they kind of butted in front of the women as they were trying to feed their sheep. And the men said, "Get away from there. It's our turn. We're going to get our sheep fed first, or watered first." And Moses walked up. And Moses heard that. And he thought, "That's not very nice. You guys, you should let these women. They were here first." So he stuck up for the women. And so they fed their sheep. And then they got their sheep their water. And they got to get home a lot earlier than usual. And when they got home, their father said, "Why are you here already? Usually it takes you much longer to get all the water for your sheep." And they said, "Well, there was a really nice man, and he was there at the well, and he helped us. And we were able to feed our sheep a lot quicker." And so their father said, "Well, who is this man? Why don't you bring him over to our house? I want to meet him." So that's what happened. So Moses ended up becoming a shepherd. And he did marry one of the women, Jethro's daughter. And he stayed there in Midian for a really, really long time. In fact, he lived there in Midian as a shepherd for 40 years. So he started taking care of the sheep and became a shepherd there in Midian. Well, one day when Moses was out taking care of the sheep, which he had done for many, many years, all of a sudden he looked up and there was a bush. And this bush was on fire. But the bush didn't burn up. It was just burning and burning, and it was on fire. And he was like, "What is this? What in the world could this be?" And he thought, "I'm going to go and see what is happening. It's not burning up." And then the Lord saw Moses, and he said, "Moses, Moses." And Moses said, "Here I am." And he said, "Do not come any closer. Take off your sandals, for the place you are standing is holy ground." And then he said, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." At this, Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God. God is so bright and powerful, you can't look at him. And he hid his face. And Moses said to him, "I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt, and I've heard them crying out because of their slave drivers. And I too, just like you, am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them up out of that land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the home of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. And now the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I've seen the way the Egyptians are opposing them. So now go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." So God chose Moses. He saved him all those years before when he was a baby in Egypt. He saved him specifically for this job. He said, "Moses, you are going to go back to Egypt and talk to the Pharaoh and tell him to let my people go, to release them. Here they are, slaves in Egypt." And Moses said, "But Lord, how could I do that? What am I going to say to them? How would they listen to me? What should I tell them? Who should I say sent me?" And God said, "Tell them I am who I am. I am the one who sent you." So what an amazing thing. God spoke to Moses and gave him this very important job to go and tell the Pharaoh to release the children of Israel, the Israelites, or another word for that is Hebrew, the Hebrew people. And we're going to find out tomorrow what happens. Does Pharaoh let them go? We'll see tomorrow.